Welcome to the Rugby Bits podcast. We are back for the rest. We are here to talk about so many things. Well, there's URC SA derbies. There's Six Nations starting this week. World Cup fixtures that have been released. There's even tickets for the greatest rivalry tour that have been released as well. So there's so much to discuss here. There's some law changes, everything. So I'm Kooks today, and we're going to look at some things that have just been changing in the rugby world the last few weeks. I mean, Kooks, I think I'm literally 2 weeks ago, we were up is down and our down is up. We thought, okay, the Stormers are, you know, the best team in the URC. The Sharks are sort of floundering. The Bulls are sinking. The Lions seem to be now. Literally, all of that is turned on its head, and it's a lot to just.
Hey, hi guys, hi everyone. It's good to be back. The last time I was on here, I think it was before the Sharks played the two games against the Stormers, and but worried. I made the big call for the Sharks to sneak to the playoffs, and my big call is looking fantastic at the moment. Yeah, so much has happened, Tala. I mean, the Bulls look like I love AP's tweeting. He's like, we may never lose again. And the Sharks just been consistent, which is crazy. And it's like it's so funny, like if you're a Stormers fan, like the break has come at the perfect time. And like for the Sharks, I'm just like, oh geez, I wish I'd one more game this weekend. And I'm
Mm,
sure the Bulls feel the same way. They've seemed to have found momentum. But it just shows, Tyler, like what the Derbies can do in the URC, which changes things. And for the Bulls, which is actually quite exciting for you guys, you're spending majority of the time at home now in the run-in, so which is perfect for you guys. I think for us, Sharks is, I mean, we've got the two derbies, the Lions and the Bulls away, which is going to be tricky. When we lost the Lions and the Bulls away is always tricky. And I think it would have been interesting if the Sharks and Bulls probably play that first weekend back after the break and see where we are. But we know how our sides are after a break, so now it's like that excitement goes back into nerves. But crazy, crazy couple weeks in the game. We'll get to the World Cup stuff. Six Nations on a Thursday. Yeah, I've wrapped my head around it eventually. But yeah, like I just love also as soon as there's a bit of international rugby as well, this is chaos. It descends into the rugby world as well. Like it just you just add a sprinkle of international rugby and it just chaos happens in the rugby world.
yeah. So I think let's start. So okay, obviously we didn't record last week, so maybe a bit of context is, you know, 2 weeks ago, the Stormers are facing the Sharks in Cape Town. I was in Cape Town for that day, and we were at the waterfront. And during the afternoon, there were so many Stormers jerseys. There's quite a few Sharks jerseys as well, but you can see the vibe is for a big game. And yeah, Cape Town is interesting because when the Stormers win, everyone's so happy. Everyone loves the Stormers. Like everyone's repping, the blue and white. Like it's awesome vibes. So, obviously the Stormers are informed. They're the unbeaten team in the RC that are like they had a decent lead. You would think, I mean, I think I even said in the last part, like the Stormers have even like a lead to play with, like in a way. Like they could almost now pick and choose what they want to do. And then, yeah, the Sharks absolutely just surprised them and ambushed them somewhat in Cape Town. Like, just yeah, the Stormers said piece fell to pieces. The scrum and the lineout were struggling a lot, and they just were outclassed by the Sharks, and they lost 30 points to 19. So this is the revenge game this weekend. Stormers come out of the gates really well, scoring that try. I pretty much took a minute. And most things seem to be a bit better with regards to like the lineouts weren't as much of a mess. But Cooks, it kind of felt like 2025 Stormers came back. The 24-25 season Stormers just inconsistent, excuse me, not really making their tackles, like really ill-disciplined, not really getting things going. Obviously, Paul de Villiers gives away a pretty cheap yellow card. There's, I mean, a few crazy things like the Warrigalant try that he gives away as well. Yeah, Cooks, I don't know how and why the Stormers have turned from the team of the URC, a team that we thought, I think when we were doing our start of the year predictions that, oh, okay, the Stormers are going to be in the East to now. they're third. They're kind of struggling to come back. Or like they're now sort of within the pack, and they need to get a few results going if they want to be in the top two in the log now.
Yeah, I think the Stormers, I mean, I think kind of shot themselves in the foot, especially in the last game. I mean, like just about 16, 15, 16, 7, 15, 16 penalties given away. The discipline was terrible. Like, the try that Yaka Williams who scores the Haaland doesn't dot the ball down as nonchalantly. Yeah, like, the 2015 sort of Stormers snuck back in, and you kind of saw a little bit of it against the Bulls, but then they obviously then they got back in their maul, and
Mm.
and they managed to find a way to close the game out. What was interesting for me 2 weeks ago is that they set piece fell apart, which has been brilliant, and it just shows how well the Sharks were able to put that under pressure. Um, yeah, I still think the Stormers I mean, are good enough to sort of go back on that run again. I think obviously back-to-back losses is never ideal. Um, and it just shows for me, Thala, like what the URC, what a big momentum game it is. And how quickly when things are going your way, you can rack up 2 or 3, 4, 5 wins in a row. And then obviously if things go pear-shaped, you can sort of go find yourself in the situation the Stormers are. I mean, yes, they are thirds, and like I love what Sasha said in his press conference. I think going into the break, having lost twice, I mean they'll take it and run probably if you said at the start of the season. But I think the way they started and then just this little dip in form, that's probably been frustrating, and just forcing things again, that old sort of Stormers play of like trying to make Hail Mary plays quite often, and then the set piece hasn't been firing as well. I mean, I think for them, obviously defensively, they'll be very frustrated with that, which is something that was their bread and butter. And when they'll win on tour, they're winning the games through the defense as well. So and the ability to control games. I think the Sharks, what was good is the ability to control games. I thought that's been fantastic, and something that sort of nailed down the Storm. I think the Stormers, what's what's frustrating for them, and I'm sure for them, is like when things don't get as pear shaped, is when they get into that sort of that goof troop game that Rian likes to call, and that's when the mistakes compound. But if you're a Stormers fan, I mean, what you're probably thinking, sorry, dealing with technical difficulties there. Clearly, it must be my phone's a Stormers fan. But if you're a Stormers fan, I mean, I wouldn't panic just yet. I think obviously it's frustrating when it's against one of your biggest rivals. But geez, man, like for some of the Warrior Lantra, it's just like things like that where it's just dot it down. Like it's mistakes like that, like just dot it down. Like that happens 2 weeks ago. It's how many times did a line out in the five, had chances, plenty of chances, and also like it's like small things. The Stormers like they get in key positions, move the line out, or score a try, concede of the break. So I don't think it's panic stations yet. I still think they're good enough to make top two. Like I said, this break has come at a very good time for them, and a lot of the guys come back. A lot of the guys will come back from injuries, so I think the break definitely has come at a good time.
Yeah, and I guess it's just a bit weird when some things fall apart in your game that have been pretty strong throughout. Like, if you look at the URC stats for the season, the Stormers scrum and line out on their scrum is the fourth best scrum in the tournament. Like, they win more scrum penalties than the Sharks do on the number one scrum. They have a 92% scrum success rate. So like, that's obviously really strong. And their line out is fourth in the competition. Like they have a 91% line out success rate. The Sharks were just, I think maybe, yeah, the Sharks just really seem to put a lot of pressure on Fenta and on Kutsa, and were just able to contest really well. And yeah, that's a part of the game that wasn't. I mean, I don't think the Stormers line's been excellent, but I also think it's just been something that the Sharks have been able to exploit, and that's been good. More defense has now been a bit more of a problem now. Are they missing Morat possibly? Like their defense, I mean, their discipline's also like second best in the competition. Like, they concede less than 10 penalties a game. Like they've only had 80. Like, these are things that you are want. Like if you are if you're coaching the Stormers, but now the last 2 weeks, and especially last weekend, you're conceding 16 penalties. So it's so weird because then Cooks, yeah, that's where I'm a bit struggling of like, what actually do you pinpoint this on? Like, I think this team was a bit because they had to like, there's some people's coming country and all that sort of stuff. And then this week, they had their forwards. They lost Murat, of course, but Smith and you good at lock. Um, okay, Cable's playing at loose head, but he's such an experienced campaign. I think the scrum was actually a bit better than it was the weekend before. And, the back line, like you have to move people around, but, you still have Willems, so you still have Sasha Fambe and Ngomazulu. Like, there's just, yeah, I almost don't really know what or how to pin this on anything. I mean, the main problem is they've conceded over 30 points or 30 and more points in 2 weeks in a row. So I guess the main thing that I can look at and be like, this is probably the one of the big differences is maybe Ruan now helps with leading that defense a lot better than Similani would. But I don't even think there was like many tries through the centers. It was more the forwards kind of losing the contact balls or pick up and goes and that sort of thing, and then space kind of opening up after that. So it's yeah, it's unfortunate that the Sharks have, I mean, the Stormers have, yeah, had ball. Like I guess a few weeks ago we said with the Bulls game, it looked a bit touch and go. They obviously gave Leicester Tigers, like they probably let them into the game a lot more than they should have. And now I guess the chickens are coming home to roost. So yeah, it's unfortunate because this could have been a situation where even if they won one of these games, they would have been in the mix with Glasgow and Leinster. They would have backed themselves to either be top or second and obviously put themselves in a good position. And now, yeah, they'll have to do a bit of work if they want to um, host as much of the knockout as possible.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely giving some work to do. But like you said, like I think the things that have gone wrong are things that have been a strength all season, which I do think it's an easy fix. These things happen and it's a long campaign. And if there's ever a time to sort of
Mm.
maybe lose a little bit of form, it's sort of now when it happen now before the break, you have the break, you come back. Because then after the break, I mean, it's full steam ahead. There's no breaks until the end of the season. It goes after Six Nations is basically a clean run to the playoffs. But the interesting thing for the Stormers, I mean, why I still think they're definitely in the mix is when they get back, I mean, the box, I think what puts us in advantage is our box on playing in internationals. So the guys are actually well
Mm.
rested. The guys like Sasha, everyone else, they're all getting a rest. And the niggles the Stormers have had, those guys are getting a break. And also, I mean, look at these two games. And listen, I must say, it's also been very good Sharks as well. John's done very, very well to put them under pressure. And and especially 2 weeks in a row. But if you're a Stormers fan, it's definitely not something that's going to panic. It's something that there's been more good than bad. I'm not gonna, as I say, throw the baby with the bathwater out. But it's a thing of like the things that can the discipline and the line outs and things, the forwards and the defense that is things they can fix because when they get back and you say you're trying to push for Leinster and Glasgow, yes, Leinster got the depth in Glasgow. A lot of those guys are coming back from a Six Nations campaign where some of them bodies will be bruised. Like it's not like they going on holiday now. So for us, it's having that break, having the guys come back, and maybe obviously we got the two derbies. But for the Stormers is, if you can just try and sort of, get the momentum back, find yourself winning 2 or 3 games on the trot, and I think they should be fine from there. And most importantly, make sure everyone is back on the park.
Yeah. On the shark side, it's just weird. It's also something I can't really say it's this or this. It's just it feels like the Sharks are just playing like a team and, just realizing, hey, we're kind of talented. We, have really good forwards. Backs are pretty decent as well. Let's play to our potential. And it feels like it's been a year at least since we've seen the Hendrixes play to their potential, since, we've seen the Sharks really take a starting pack, like, or a really good pack and take them by the scruff of the neck and really sort of impose themselves on the game. Like Easthuizen has been great. Fussy the week before was kicking fantastically from the back and just, had a really, really good game. And yeah, yeah, I don't know. Maybe from you're the Sharks fan, Cooks. I don't know if from your perspective you can see like big things that JP Peterson has done. It kind of just feels like maybe it's. I mean, Sharks and Manchester United seem to be quite linked together. It kind of just feels like a coach coming in, simplifying things, and oh, you guys are back to being good and playing to your potential now.
Yeah, I think that's tell like the fact you put it like if the Sharks sort of seem like to have simplified things, and there kind of is a way where you can see how JP wants the Sharks to play, and you can see it. I mean, I think obviously like the pack has been fantastic, which has been great. I mean, the lineouts, I mean, and the scrums have been great. But I mean, the lineouts have been a joy to watch in the last couple of weeks, and I think for me the physicality has been incredible. Percy Buthelezi doesn't get spoken about much, but he's been out of this world, and he's having a season to remember. And I think also like I think make Andre Esterhuizen captain for the rest of his contract. I mean, the captaincy is taken up to another level. I mean, I think he's probably had one bad game in about a year, and that was when he played against the Lions. I mean, but like he was incredible again. Fast has been immense. Hooker has just been doing his thing. I think for me as a Sharks fan, the most exciting thing is Jaden Hendricks is out of his coma or whatever was going on with him for about a year, and I know like he's been fantastic. Whether he started or has been overcome off the bench, he's been fantastic, and he's added such a different dimension of the Sharks in terms of controlling the game, and he comes off, and obviously the quality he has, but. Tell I must say, like it is impressive. I think for me the frustrating thing was, and I think because I've been such a hurt Sharks fan going into the weekend, I'm like, you're probably thinking we had the win in we had the win in Cape Town. I'm like, oh, the chance of us backing that up is probably like old Sharks will probably fall away, and then we bounce back and we backed up a performance again. Now it's about doing it again in a couple of weeks' time. And yeah, maybe it's the derbies. Guys rise to the occasion in the derby day, but you can tell there's been a difference that JP has brought. And we've got a good run in now in the tournament. All our box are going to be back. Everyone's back now pretty much until the end of the season. So we've got a chance to become a side that you don't want to catch in a playoff game, which is hopefully that what we can if we can keep the momentum up. And
Mm.
I think we've got the tools and the way we play now and this the sort of game plan and the way things have been simplified. It's a game plan for me that can travel, especially in a knockout game, in a UFC game. So, and also like, listen, you can see the players are playing for JP. You can see the vibe is different. You can feel it. I mean, like the
Mm.
Yako Williams, like for example, chase. That's chasing lost causes. That we always speak about the Springboks. I mean, that's you can see the effort and you can see how the guys are after the game. The Sharks are obviously posting videos, and you can see the vibe is different. And yeah, I mean, obviously, like with Plum, you could sense that there was something is offish with the group, and then now, like JP's come, and wins like this can change a season. If you look back at the Shark season, this can be a catalyst into something brilliant. I think, obviously, for me, we had that Lions loss, and you thought, oh, it's actually new coach hasn't changed much, but now these two back-to-back performances has been fantastic. So yeah, happy times in Durban again.
Yeah, I think it's just also good how much like obviously his players that he had before with the Curry Cup team and the age group teams. Like he's really trusted, the likes of Patu Ganyane and Nick Hatton to also come into the team, Edouard Swart to really contribute to this team as well. And I think they've delivered. They haven't let the team down at all. Like Ganyane was really putting Nieting Fauché under pressure last week, and I think he did decently against Zachary Porton this weekend. Swart had to start the game last week because Bonambi wasn't available. Uriens Julius has been in really good form and has been a good impact player. Like, we've talked about Yaku Williams. Like, he's been really, really good. Like, I think from these sort of two games, if there's two of like people that are obviously outside of the Springbok conversation, ugh, I hate talking about Springboks so many months before the test season, but Jaco Williams and Paul de Villiers have really put their hands up. Like, I mean, we've been talking about Paul de Villiers for a while, so I don't need to repeat too much, but genuinely, like, the closest thing we have to, you know, repeating sort of the things that like, Henrik Brousseau can do for the Springboks. Like just really good on the ground, really great as a ball carrier, a bit underrated actually. Like he's been really good. And Jaco Williams, I mean, yeah, we can talk about the try now. Like he genuinely just chases and chases and chases. I'm not sure what Warigeland was doing there. Like this is the thing with Warigeland. Like you can just see, oh, Warigeland on social media and you just see his name and you are not sure whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Like this is sort of where we are with him. And yeah, he just gets that try. So that's obviously something that we know the Springbok coaches really, really appreciate. So yeah, I think those two younger players have really impressed. But yeah, I think JP has it's partly vibes. I think it's just partly simplifying the game. Like I haven't seen Raul and Van Heerden carry like they've been carrying and tackling like they've been tackling in such a long time. And they're just basically doing their job. Like they're not really missing like an Itzebeth to contribute there. And it just seems like the set piece has been a focus and carrying has been a focus and mauling has been a focus. And then yeah, just allowing the space for the backline to do what they need to do. So this, yeah, Sharks are in a pretty good position. They're now at its ninth place in the URC log, but literally a point away from seventh. Like they are very much in that conversation with the Bulls and Ospreys and Lions, Benetton and Connacht as well for the last two places in the URC. And yeah, I mean, if Cardiff or Munster or Ulster or even the Stormers fall off as well, they can at least get themselves into the top six. So there's definitely an opportunity for the Sharks there.
No, definitely. I think it's lined up nicely now. I think the most important thing for the Sharks that the Lions and Bulls going to become massive because yes, yes, the Stormers game was incredible and but they're at the top. Lions and Bulls are basically in the same mix that we are in the qualifying spot. So basically, what we're doing is like winning one of those two games kind of propels us above them. You win both those games, and you find yourself in a very, very good position where you sort of where then the pressure goes to the Lions and Bulls to try and find to sort of keep themselves in the loop there for the playoff spot. So yeah, I think Thala, I think yeah, we placed perfectly. I think like yeah, opposite the Stormers, I think for the Sharks would love for us to play it again to keep this momentum up. But yeah, I'm very very excited for when we come back. It's nice to say those words again that I'm very very excited for that. I'm sad the Sharks aren't playing. Like it's nice to say that again. But yeah, I think we're in a good place. I think we can definitely make a charge. We've got the players to make a charge, and it's going to be exciting that the players are going to come back well refreshed. And obviously we've got the box in there, so if they come back well refreshed, and I think also the box are which is great, is they are playing really well. And it's not just, and also we're out of that loop where it was like last season we'd win games to like one or two individual performances and see would have a day out, or it didn't have a day out, and then whereas now it's like everyone's contributing. Fassi last week, and it's days, and then it's like guys like Buthelezi are knocking the door. You mentioned Rolf and Heerden, guys that are knocking the door. They sort of raising the game to another level, and Jay Peterson's doing an incredible job, and you can't fault him on it.
No, not at all. Let's talk about the Bulls and the Lions. So, yeah, this was also a bit of a surprise. I mean, the Lions won the game in Pretoria a month or so back. So the Bulls are coming into Joburg. They've won two games by the skin of their teeth. They kind of overturning that seven-match losing streak that they had. The Lions have been doing quite well actually and getting themselves into the playoff conversation. So yeah, I think most people thought this would be a close game, and the Bulls just absolutely stampeded over them. Like the attack clicked. Feels like the back line was getting together there. But yeah, Cooks, I mean, I haven't like I've only watched the highlights, so I have to be honest. But it kind of feels like it was more just the Lions being horrible, and rather than the Bulls being excellent. So I don't know how much can be read into this game before I'm now going, okay, Johan Ackerman and whoever the hell the assistant coaches are, be it the Moby Clinic for the box, Moby unit for the box, or whatever the case is, they've sorted things out. But it kind of feels like it's more that the Lions were just absolutely terrible on that day.
Yeah, I mean, I think from the bull side, I mean, like you said, there's two games, you sneak out and scruff your neck, and but also listen, the Bulls did end up to sort of kill the momentum, go all the way to Lyon and get a very very good win in France, and then you come back and then you go this performance in the weekend was also very good. So it does seem like something's starting to click again. The Bulls are never going to lose forever. I mean, which is sad, but I mean, they were never going to lose forever, and they seeming to sort of find something and finding a performance from the guys. The attack is starting to click again, and defensively, they've been a lot better, especially in the weekend. But For the Lions, I mean, well, first of all, it was the world's hottest day here in Joburg on Saturday. It was cooking. But for the Lions, I
Fair
think
enough.
it's also tough to you go to Ospreys in the middle of winter, find a draw, you come back to find a hungry blue bull waiting for you. But yeah, I think for me the frustrating thing if you're a Lions fan is the Lions just have these sort of performances in them. They've been really inconsistent this year where the highs have been very, very high. But then the lows have been some of the performances when they're like the lows have not been great. I mean, like on Saturday, the Lions just won the races at all. I mean, it's just they played like a team that was that in one mind they were off already. Like when they go back from Ospreys, they draw. They look like a team. They're like, listen, we need to get through this and find a way to get a draw. Nice to see more numbers at Ellis Park. It is some sort of positive to take from anything in that's happening in Joburg. But yeah, I think for the Lions it's just for me been the theme of their season. I mean, there's been times when they've put on some incredible performances, and times it's been tough to watch. But I will give the Bulls a lot of credit and say, listen, the way they bounce back and the way they seem to turn it around, and you want to sort of go into the break with some sort of momentum, and then like I think them and the Sharks are probably are probably well, sorry, are probably well placed to sort of make like a
It
play.
tricks you up to talk nice things about the Bulls,
Yeah,
eh?
it does, eh? Like I was doing so well with the Sharks and the Bulls came, and it's just like I'm being attacked. But like it just shows that like I mean these sides are good enough to turn it around. I think especially the Bulls, like I mean, like that 7 losses in a row was never great. But like the Bulls, I mean, they have the quality in the squad to sort of to also make a deep run. Um, so it's gonna be interesting to see. Like I said, that Sharks Bulls game becomes massive. It becomes massive because now that who knows what happens. Hopefully, the two sides come away with wins the week before, but that game becomes so massive in terms of who's gonna be the side that sort of joins the Stormers as the second best side in the second best SA side in the tournament, or maybe even make a deeper push and see can you sneak into a top five place. So yeah, so Bulls are back. So I think the Bulls are back. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. It's gonna be interesting now. Looks like Johan Cousins back to the farm and the challenge dinners to be here. So like I just feel like it'd be nice for you guys to have another flop besides Andre Pollard. I mean, like I know Keegan Johannes is there, but like it's just been interesting to see like it's been like poly or nothing since it's like 2026.
Yeah, I mean, this because it was a bit of a mix and match side, like it's gonna be very interesting what Ackerman does now next week. So, like for example, LaRue was given a break. There's a few changes with the loose forwards, and even like Nokia also having a bit of, just a bit of time off as well. So Vocolo isn't playing this week. So you sort of ask yourself the question like how are we going to fit those pieces in um when we play our next game? And yeah, I think before we play the Sharks play the Lions in Joburg. I think that's the game you had to catch up from a few weeks ago. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite, especially with the back line. Like, that's why I'm also like, that's why I'm a bit hesitant to be like, okay, great. We can take this as Straviano Jacobs and Stemen Gans should be the first choice players there, where I'm just like, is this just more of just the Lions were not really that good than those players playing really well. Harold Forster was player of the match like a few weeks ago. Harold Forster looked like he was absolutely washed. So, it's those things, and we have to monitor there. But I think it does put the Bulls into, yeah, I mean, it's definitely better to be winning these games than losing them. And you can at least see now that there's a way to get into the playoffs and not you sort of sinking down the log there. But yeah, I think the main thing that the Bulls have to take is some level of just proactivity and defense goes a long way. Like it just sets up everything else for this team. It's a big physical team. Like, yes, you can, especially running, playing in the high felt, you can sort of get these 30, 40, 50 points games like you do now. But there needs to be some level of basis for the defense. And we were talking about it in the losing streak where the Bulls were really struggling to keep teams from getting 4 tries. And their tackle success was always under 80% and all that sort of stuff. And now, I mean, it was under 80% last week, but they weren't they were the ones sort of pushing the initiative with the ball in hand, and obviously made the Lions have to sort of act up in defense. So they have to they have to sort these things out, and like when they have their run in, they're mostly at home. Like they hopefully have the opportunity to build momentum there. So yeah, good stuff that Forster and Hans were really good. I mean, a few seasons ago, that was the first choice combination for the Bulls. So that's, yeah, I guess it's not too much of a surprise that they came together and played really well. Um, Curtly Lawrence is obviously fully back. Bit stupid with the yellow card, but he's obviously is just as threat as an attacker is really good. Like, yeah, and there's so much depth as we've been talking about. Genre Rudolph has probably been in the top 3 or 4 for South African URC players of the year so far. Like he's just been absolutely brilliant. Like he's undroppable now. I don't care if and when. Well, Van Staden's now moonlighting as a hooker, but when all the first choice players are all back, I think Rudolph has to be in the starting team. It doesn't really matter. Like I know Arik Lowe was back and Marcel Coetzee has been building a few games, but he has to be playing. I mean, I don't know if you saw on Twitter, or Villaroo was active on Twitter on Saturday, and he was replying to people that were saying, no, the Bulls look better without him. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure he's
I,
going to be quite hungry to come back in.
I loved it. Willie had time this weekend. He had time. He found his password, and he's like, you know what? I've got something to say. It's you know,
It's been a while. It's been a
do you
while.
know do you know what I find funny with all of that? Like, like if someone says something and how quickly people like retract, like, whoa, 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 man, no, I love you, man. Whoa, whoa, like what I meant was
Yes.
each one was like, see, my thing is like, I'm all in, for example, like if you ever, and not necessarily to the guys that are having a go, like one guy did say, like, like it's time. And he's like, yo, it's time for what? He's saying, I must leave. And that's great. I'm going like, and or guys like, oh, the guys are playing much better because Villiers not there. And it's like, whoa, so like the classic, was it 50 Cent me? Like, what you saying fuck me for? Like, I don't do anything. I'm just here, mind my own business. The team is doing well. But what I do enjoy is like when the athletes do come back and the people just like quickly like take a step back. I'm like, but you just have the same energy you had before. Do you know what I mean? Like just have the same energy you had before. If it's not personal, then it's fine. You know what I mean? It's not a personal attack. Like I just like no, no, if not, I'm always anti guys have got players and drawing a personal line. If you're saying something you see technically and a player comes back and goes and gives just actually what I did was this and this, and you go, you know what, bro, sweet, you did that. I see this one. It happens. But I just love when like I just love when people like say something, the player comes back and they just how quickly they just drop back and like actually no, what I want to say, I love you, man. Like don't go anywhere. Like I didn't mean it like that. Like and you just like, but I love that. Like I clearly Valerie had time this weekend and he was just like, you know what, it's time for me to just clap back a bit. That's my guy. Yes, Philly. Philly, you know what? Give me 2 more years just for that.
Look, I mean, back in my younger Twitter days, I think Villaroo was one of the first players that blocked me. And because, yeah, there was that one season after his breakout season where he was playing like an absolute crazy man and just doing, all the Villaroo stuff, and it just wasn't coming off. And, that's fine. I completely fully get it. I don't think I was being personal, whatever the case is. That's all fine. Like you said, if you can criticize someone, you must also be able to stand on business. And yeah, I'm more than happy with people just being like, hey, if I think you're playing bad and you reply to me saying what, I'll just be like, hey, I think you're playing bad. Like, please improve or whatever the case is. But yeah, everyone that was sort of just backing down when this guy replied, come on, guys. Like, this is SA Rugby Twitter. We're known for something here. Like, if nothing else, we're known for standing our ground. Like, we can't be doing this and then complain when people are saying like why we like with like other debates as well. We need to be able to stand our ground even against our own Springboks if we need to as well. Like yeah, that was quite disappointing actually. But yeah, I actually saw him at the airport on Friday in Cape Town. So I guess he had obviously had the week off. He was with his partner. Like he looked so nice and relaxed. So it's so hilarious that like literally a few hours or a day later, this guy was on Twitter just having time to reply to everyone. So, you know what? Shout out to him. Like I was saying to someone, like he's definitely far from the problem, I think, for the Bulls. Like he's been, I think, one of the players trying to sort of get sort of some momentum for the team. It's just that everyone else and everything else was just really falling apart. So yeah, add LaRue to this. You really, I think, have something special here. So we'll see. The Lions, I guess, other positives. Ellis Park was pretty full. You've sold out Ellis Park for the Springbok game in July. And Batu Khekani is really good. So well done on getting him. But Cooks, look, at least, we're what, almost two-thirds down in the season. They're in a pretty good spot. Once again, the Lions could actually get to the top eight. The problem is, I mean, there's about 12 teams that also believe this that are pretty much on the same points or more. So I guess the question is, Cooks, I think I know what the answer is. I just want to delude myself and maybe for Ringo and other people as well. Do we believe the Lions can do it? Do we believe the Lions can get, let's say, in the last 8 games, 5 to 6 wins that can get them into the top eight?
It's just like I just don't know which line side we're gonna see come week to week. Um, like I definitely think that when they've been good, they've been really good. I mean, there's some of the performance are probably like their performance against Ulster. I mean, if you want to see how good they can be, you go back to that. I definitely think they can. I think they can do it. And I think obviously, listen, you lose a derby like that at home. That's unfortunately, it's got two ways. Either change the season around, or you sort of just keep rolling down the hill and you sort of never bounce back. But I think also classic cliche where the break comes at the right time. For seems like half the SA sides are still keen to play, other ones are excited for the break. But I do think the Lions can do it. I think tell that it's eventually got to come, and I think this could be the year that it does. Like you said, Bud Khan is really good. They've got really good players in there. They've got sorry, so talk about the Lions. There's already Ringo's full putting me to sleep. The talking about the Lions is really good. And there's lots of guys there. Sorry guys, it's been the longest couple of weeks. And um I'm gonna believe, I'm gonna believe. If this means that I've jinxed them, then I apologize, Ringo. But I do believe. I mean, Tala, it's gonna be heartbreaking for either the Sharks, Lions, or the Bulls. I don't think all four of us are gonna qualify for the next round. I generally think one of these sides is gonna be heartbreak, but I think it's what scares me, Tala, it might be heartbreak on like the last round. And oh, Sharks, please don't do that to me.
Mm.
Don't do this to me in the last round when things go balls up.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's pretty much only two spots available right now. Like, because if you look at the URC log, so Glasgow and Leinster, they're first and second. Glasgow have a 4 point lead on Leinster. They're the only teams that have more than 40 points. Glasgow beat Munster this weekend, 31-22. We know how much of a rivalry that match is, so they will always celebrate that. And then Leinster, yeah, they beat Edinburgh in the weekend as well. And then after that is 4 teams pretty much all on the same points, and that includes the Stormers, Ulster that beat Cardiff. Cardiff is also in that group, and Munster. So Cardiff and Munster are the two teams losing, but they're all on similar points, so 36 to 35 basically. And then after that, seventh to like 11th, 12th are all within like 5 points of each other. So that's the Bulls, Ospreys, Sharks, the Lions, Benetton, and Connacht. So I think there's only space for two of those teams to make the top eight. So is it going to be two South African teams? Probably not, but I guess most of the derbies are done. So there's less opportunities for them to take points off each other. It's possibly going to be one of those, like, or maybe one, possibly two that make it through. I guess the big positive is that all three of the teams have most of their games in South Africa. So yes, the Sharks have to travel to the Highveld, but I think they only have two more European games. I think the Bulls have two or three. So it's you're doing most of these games at home. So if you can win all your games in South Africa and then maybe pick up a sneaky one in Europe, I think that's enough. and maybe Munster, Cardiff, or Ulster also drop out, and you can maybe sneak yourself into the top six, maybe even top four. But yeah, Cooks, it's definitely not going to be four teams. I think it's probably going to be closer to two, maybe three. But yeah, I mean, Benetton, I mean, yes, they also flatter to deceive, but they're a good quality side. Like Connacht can also get going, but also flatter to deceive. Ospreys are pretty much playing for their lives at the moment, with obviously everything that's happening in Welsh rugby right now. So yeah, it won't be easy. Like these teams, at least the Bulls and the Sharks, they're definitely good enough to make a run. But it's now about building momentum as much as possible. But yeah, I think it's not as tight as the RC was last season, where it felt like 14 of the 16 teams all had a go at the playoffs with like a few rounds to go. But yeah, I mean, there isn't a weak team there. Every team has at least two wins. Every team is over 10 points. Even your Dragons are at 14th Cooks. They're not dwindling down in the table anymore. Like they're very strong.
Yeah, yeah, the dragon. Yeah, of the dragons. One day we'll get to 12th, Tyler. One day we'll get to 12th.
Yeah, so yeah, and I mean, also there's just a big epidemic of draws in the URC. So Scarlets drew to Benetton this weekend. Last weekend we had Ospreys and Lions drawing to each other. So yeah, that's also quite funny. Like you have all these draws. I know in Super Rugby they just now anytime there's a draw, there's obviously the golden point thing and all that sort of stuff. Cooks, very, I mean, maybe as a segue to start talking about other things. Did you see these new laws that Super Rugby Pacific has for this season?
Yeah, Super Rugby Pacific, all you do is this vibes. It should be called Super Rugby Vibes from now on, or Super Rugby Varsity Cup. They are in the same WhatsApp group in terms of like in changing the rules. So my thing is like, right, 2022, fantastic law. I mean, that change has been great for rugby. But then, like, why add this thing where you can pass the ball back into the 20? I'm just like, you can't take away the one rule, the one law of like you can't pass the ball back in 22 and then kick it out in the full. It's made the game better. It's made guys kick better, become more accurate. Then you're like, no, like you can take it back. I'm like, of all things and laws, look at, I don't think 22 was one of them. Like, like those guys at the stage. I'm telling you, they are 5 minutes away from being like, you know what? Bring back 2009 ELVs. Knock on quick tip. They're this close. They're brinking on bringing back the 2008, 2009, 2008 ELVs. That's basically what they're doing. Like, I don't know what's going on in Super Rugby. Like, who asked for these things?
I, yeah, I don't know why. I mean, Mathieu Reynal had a really good quote about this. I don't know if it was about these exact law changes, but he was on a podcast, and obviously the former French international ref, but he was basically saying we don't want to, you know, get forced on these law changes that come from countries with empty stadiums, and
Whoa.
let him
Whoa.
cook. I mean, Reynal
Whoa.
knows these guys. He knows that these guys are coming from a competition where you can barely get 6,000 people in, where, the top 14 is filling stadiums every weekend. So I don't think the problem is with the laws, guys. I think that's basically what he's saying. I think I mean, at this point, number one, can we just stop changing laws? Like, can we just have 1 year, no law changes. We know what's happening in rugby. I don't have to change. Like, if I go watch from URC to Super Rugby, I'm not like, oh, okay, so what's this one? Okay, it's this red card. Okay, it's this 20-minute red card, or it's 5 minute red card, or, the high tackle doesn't matter here, or, you can tap and go from anywhere, whatever the case is. So, can we do that? Number one. Number two, I think it you just are making things just a lot more complicated. Like, I don't mind the quick tap rule. I think referees have been doing that anyway, so that's fine. Like with the use it call for rucks, it's just about referees enforcing the rules that they already have. Like when you call use it, if the scrum off doesn't clear it, blow and turn the ball over. The 50-22, I can kind of see it working because you're kind of forcing the wingers to always stay back, so you don't have all 13 players or 14 players on the defensive line. So I get it, but I think it's just weird that like in certain places of the field, you can pass back and kick, like you said. In other places, you can't. Certain places, you can kick in the full. Like, it's just going to cause more problems. And yeah, poor someone like Warwick Galant, I'm sure he's going to be the first one that messes it up if this comes to South Africa. I just really don't like the penalty try and yellow card thing. Like, number one, I didn't even think it was mandatory for the referee to issue a card for a penalty try in any case. Like, I thought that was already referee's discretion, but I'm sure there's going to be a situation now where there'll be a penalty try. Referee doesn't put a yellow or red card. It's going to be a talking point because the Blues lost out or the Crusaders lost out, and then we're going to be all complaining about that as well.
But again,
I I think every time we tinker, we just make things so much worse. Like also now the TMO is like their things are being restricted. I don't know who would want to be a referee right now.
yeah,
Every game or every competition, you have to learn a new set of rules.
but also it's like my thing is like with these like with these sort of laws, I'm trying my best not to vent. I told you guys I'm a new man this year. I'm trying to be calm, I'm trying to be patient. But like, what are we doing here? Like you go like the TMO can only come in when unprompted if it's serious foul play. So if a guy knocks the ball and the guy's gonna score, TMO and the guys in the city we just carry on with life. Like we'll just go like, you know what, guys, if it's a serious foul play, I'm not gonna say a word. Like my job, I thought the TMOs make the refs' life a little bit easier. Like, and my thing is that stops maybe the TMO comes in and goes, oh, bit of a knock on their forward pass there, and going like, you know what, guys, that's been missing. It comes back. It's sort of, it's for me, it speeds up the game as opposed to going, someone scores a try or maybe something happens, then they go, oh, that first replay was there forward pass there. Sorry, now I got to go back. Guys got to kick. Now it's 4 minutes. Like, like that's my thing. It's like if the ref or the say on the touchdown has missed something, let the guy be like, sorry, Mr. Ref, there's a forward pass there. Have a look, stop, boom, and carry on playing. Like the quick tap thing, also like just get back behind the mark. Like they can like a meter within, like, you can do whatever you want. Like I just hope it's at least like I don't like for guys in front of the mark, like as kickers do every single time, like and no one ever blows it. I think maybe that's what they're thinking, and the user thing. But the way the user thing is so frustrating because it's how many times have they tried this user thing where it starts off great, then after a while it just like disappears. It's like use it, and then you're like, oh, so this strike is 5 seconds. Okay, so this one's 8 seconds now. Oh, okay, so the guy is like working more from in that like box kick, working in the, and it's like, ref, you said use it like an hour ago. Like so, like this user thing, we've seen it. They try it every time. Yes, go use it. They try the countdown. One, two. Like, I just think, Tala, I agree with you. We can't be in a situation where I watch Super Rugby. Well, think about this in Feb and March. Varsity Cup's got a different set of rules. Super Rugby's got a different set of laws. Some of those laws. Six Nations have a different set of laws. That's three big tournaments happening at the same time, and three different set of laws. Now you're the viewer, you're going, why is this the no? Because like why is that passed back and true? And you go, no, because of this. They're like, yeah, but on Watch Six Nations, they couldn't do that. I'll be like, you know what? You're making a fantastic point, and like that's the frustrating thing. Is like, can we just find like a set of laws, like the ones that have been played in international game? Can they be played like in these tournaments as well? Like that's for me, that's frustrating thing. And what is this that are not mandatory for if it's a penalty try? Like, what is up with Super Rugby Pacific and just wanting to keep players doing foul play on the field? For them, like foul play should just not matter. You should be able to stay on the field at all times. Like, I understand no one ever said it is mandatory, but 9 times out of 10, tell if it's a penalty try. Someone's done something to prevent a try scoring opportunity. That's why it's a penalty try. So it's a card. Like, I don't like it's not like a double dose penalty, but if you find a way to prevent a try, you can't be like, yeah, you know what, you scored a try, there's the punishment. No, get off the field. Go get off the field. Like this thing is like not mandatory. Like, why? Like, I just hate these things. And then they say, like, no, because 15 verse 14 is not entertaining. So is foul play. It's not entertaining.
Oh
Oh,
my gosh.
Super Rugby is like, it just drives me insane. Like, it's not mandatory. Like, it never has been mandatory, but most of the time when penalty tries happen, someone has done something cynical, unless it's like a scrum. You can't just send
Yeah.
everybody off. Like, and you get times you're like, my man, I've warned you 3, 4 times, like, whatever. Like a scrum, you need but plenty of warnings. But most of like again, if it's happening in general play, someone's done something cynical. That's worth a card. That's worth someone being sent off. And then you can say like some manager, like what's gonna happen? They're like, oh, but I know we came flying in from the side or deliberate knockdown. They'll be like, yeah, but like they scored the try, so don't give me they call it double jeopardy. That means with double jeopardy. It's like, well, like that's the thing that drives me insane. Like we keep trying to police a foul play. Like, okay, it's bad, but okay, what we'll do is we'll keep someone on the field at the same time. And like, oh, we've got enough issues, Tyler, than in rugby. Like we're dealing with exciting things on this one side, yeah, and now we're gonna do all this new Super Rugby laws. Then the All Blacks gonna come back and the Wallabies and they'll be like, I wonder why our players get sent off all the time in national rugby and they can't adapt to laws. Oh, I know, because you're playing American football, they're basically playing your own set of rules.
You don't want to have scrums. You don't want, stoppages in the game, and then you wonder with our scrums. Just stop, guys. Just play the same rules. 2 years. Can we also just give new rules at least 2 or 3 years before we go, oh, this thing needs to change? Like, yeah, I'm so tired of it, man. And like you said, Cooks, we know how this happens every year. These new rules start off hot in the first 2 weeks, and then we never see them again. Like, I think we both watch enough sports to know how these things happen in every sport we watch. Like, it's
But
literally just, yeah, emphasis, emphasis. It's like, remember, I mean, it was pretty much only for it, but when you weren't able to kick or to stop someone from taking a quick free, and then they were 4 or 5 weeks, and then we never heard of that ever again.
and also the funny thing with this, like, watch what's gonna happen is it's always the case of like it gets overblown and the refs are so strict on it. And then what happens is it takes one big mistake and they go, you know what? Maybe we're being excessive. And the rule just vanishes. The law just vanishes with thin air. You're like, oh, okay, there it goes again. I guess we're not doing this anymore. Like that's the worst. Like the first 3 weeks of Super Rugby, it's gonna be frustrating because like you can see it'll be like I just don't want to sit there and referees to sit there like for guys a deliberate knockdown, a clear one, and sit there like okay. Because now my thing, tell it. Now what happens is it's now it becomes even longer for the TMO. Now it's gonna go. Oh, by the way, it's a penalty try, but is it worth the card? More discussion. Now we gotta sit there and watch folks back and forth and go, no, it's not a card. Like because that's my thing is like if it's mandatory, like they gotta sit there and have a discussion about it and be like if it's a card or not. That's wasting more time. I wish we could take away this ball and
Yeah.
play thing and like we want to find a way to entertain the fans. Maybe ask the fans, what do you guys want? You know what? Like, that's my thing. Maybe ask the fans. Have a big poll. What is it that you guys want? Then maybe we can decide as opposed to going like, I feel like the fans want this. I feel like this is exactly what the fans want. Like, who are these people they're talking to?
Yeah. Okay. Well, then we can actually talk about okay, competition. I was going to say is that always has its mind right, but they've decided to have a game on a Thursday night. So the Six Nations starting this weekend. We're starting with France versus Ireland on Thursday. This is because the Winter Olympics, which is not happening in France or Ireland, by the way, is having its opening ceremony on Friday. So they don't want to start on Friday. So instead of starting on Saturday or having one of these games on Sunday, the obvious solution is to start on Thursday. So France and Ireland have their teams out. We'll do a quick preview in just a moment. Cooks, very quickly. Obviously, it's a long pod, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. Just going through the six sides almost as a preview. What I'll sort of say the team, and then we can sort of say our one question or take or whatever prediction that we want to have for each team, just so we, yeah, can have just a very quick sort of discussion on how we are feeling about each team. So let's start at the bottom. Let's start with Wales. What's your question, take, comment about how Wales or what you are looking for from Wales in the Six Nations?
Can they just win 2 games? It's that simple for me. Like for Wales, like just get some momentum. Can they just win 2 games? They have to win a game. Then they gotta beat Italy this year. I think that's for
Two
me.
games is a lot. I
Two
was
games
about
of
to say.
I'm going back to one. Can they just win a game? I think that's the biggest thing for them. Like, they showed glimpses last year, but for me, it's just can they just win a game?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing for Tandy is just yeah, let's just kind of see what your squad is. Obviously, you've only had 3 tests or 4 tests now, so yeah, what what does a Steve Tandy match day 23 look like, and how does it play the game? Are you going to kind of strip things back, conservative? Uh, I think the England game is kind of a nice game to start. Obviously, a big rivalry game, and England, you can kind of go a bit more conservative, kind of frustrate them as they are trying to sort of almost grow more like expansive team. But yeah, can you just be conservative? And I guess that Italy game becomes very, very important for them. Like they need to be able to beat Italy at home, and that's obviously at the final round. See about that. Speaking of Italy, so they've this weekend. I think for first lows not be get beaten by 50 points, and can we? They're almost the two team. Can we trust you for two wins? So they've got Scotland at home and Wales and Cardiff. Are you able to get those as two wins? I think especially the Scotland game. The Wales game, I mean, you almost expected to win that. So it's not, if you can sneak that Scotland game this weekend, really says good things. But regardless what happens in those two games, I don't want you guys to win those games and then you take 50 against England and 70 against France.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think also like for me, it's like again, it's we know you can beat Wales. And they've been bordering on another upset from there. I think that's probably the next step. I think obviously like the kamikaze rugby doesn't suit them against a side like France, who if you if you sort of don't turn it on, you can easily find yourself catching 70 points. But like I just think for me with Italy, it's that for me it's not necessarily the total two wins. Also, I'd like to say a plan B. Like we know the attacking wise, the attacking game plan has come along. It does feel like
Mm.
once they get knocked out of rhythm, they don't know how to sort of bounce back from that. If they win their games, they play one way, they're very attacking, and it's great to watch when the guys are cooking. But sometimes, like, a side like Ireland is good at stopping the momentum, and England can sort of suck like stop the momentum and sort of like suck the life out of them. So I'm very keen to see how Italy responds for me. Like, is there a plan B if the attacking game doesn't go well?
Yeah, and the attacking game has been a bit stilted the last year or so. It doesn't feel like they can get momentum going. We saw how they struggled against South Africa with playing against 14 men, and like they have a lot of possession, but just aren't able to sort of put in the killer blow. So yeah, obviously Brexham and Trillo, obviously will be a big part of that. Yeah, very quick sidebar one is Manuel Zuliani needs to be the starting seven. Like Michaela Lamaro, we love you. You sing the national anthem fantastically. You've been a great leader. I think it's time for you to stick on the bench, my guy. So yeah, I'm hoping that Zuliani is going to be the one that plays more of the games. Cooks, are we going to even try to do a Scotland one? I think at this
Tala,
stage for
no,
Scotland is I'm only going to look at you if you beat Ireland. Like I don't even care about the other games. Just I'll look at you if you beat Ireland.
I'm tired of getting my heart broken by those guys. I'm tired. I'm gonna break from Scotland this year. I'll review them in 2027. I want to break. Like if you ever thought people like we can send you the link of last year's pod and the pod before that and the pod before that, so I don't know, just beat Ireland. Just come on. Like I don't even think they like last year. I think England broke their hoodoo. So just I don't know, Tyler. Just stop giving give us more than hope. That's what I'm asking for. Give us more than hope. At least they're coming in fairly understated this year. It hasn't been the hype of last year, but I think people are. I think people
Mm,
are. I think people are we tired? We're tired of now of believing. Like, give us something to believe in.
yeah. On to Ireland. This is a weird Six Nations for them. Like lots of injuries, like questions about the team and the game plan, and even the coaches. The attacking coach Andrew Goodman said it wasn't the attacking game plan that was the problem. I think as a player is executing, which is a wild thing to say as a coach. No Porter looks like for the whole Six Nations. Keenan and Furlong are still struggling with injuries. Like it feels like there's a civil war on Irish Rugby Twitter or Irish Rugby Blue Sky every week. I think for Farrell, the question is stick or twist. So we'll talk about the team just now, but are we going to stick with sort of the tried and tested and sort of play in a similar way, or are we going to move towards this more kicking, more counter-attacking game that hasn't quite sort of latched onto it. So very keen to see. Yeah, that's almost the one team I want to see how they look like at the end of the Six Nations. Who's being selected? What kind of game plan are they playing? More than the results, it's just what has this next 5 games? How has it turned Ireland, or has it sort of made Ireland go back to what they do best?
Yeah, I think Tala, my question is very similar with Ireland is what are we? Because going into this nation, I don't know what to expect from Ireland. Their side is, is it just same old, same old? I mean, like, obviously you got the Stockdale coming in and Osborne's back to 15. Like it's gonna be, I just don't know how they're gonna play this weekend. Well, a couple of days time. But I'd like to see like going in there, like at the end of the day, it's like what are we? Are we a side that's gonna go forward with these guys, or like you say, stick or twist, or is it time for us to change? Because at least at least with France, like for example, who you would say for the last say 5 years, 3, 4 years, it's been Ireland and France as the two best sides in Europe. It's France, Galtier is not afraid to change stuff and sort of be chaotic and go. And when you least expect
Yeah.
it and sort of see like, well, Ireland has sort of been like, they've been trying to stick to a status quo. They've been like kicking a little bit more and they go back to the game plan. It's like there's guys who would look like they might not make the next World Cup, or there's guys who on the bench who should be getting some more game time. I mean, they're going 6-2 this weekend. So there's a lot. For Ireland, I feel like there's like 3 or 4 different game plans happening like in one side. So I'm very, it's for me, I just want to know, like, what are we? That's the question you want. Like you said, tell like results wise, like, yeah, yeah, it's the same. Like, I mean, I definitely think they definitely need, especially like with the Civil War, like there's brewing there, and with all the lot of Leinster players going in and things like that. I just think for them and for Andy Farrell's sake, not saying his job is in trouble at all, but like to sort of calm the peace in Ireland, they need at least a top two. Third or below is would cause
Yeah.
unrest there.
Yeah. I think the top three, at least 4 wins. Like, I mean, last year it literally worked out that they all had 4 wins, but obviously 5 wins, you win the Grand Slam. That's great. 4 wins, you can kind of just about excuse it. Like, you can just be like, hey, we were away or bad at the office, whatever the case is. Less than 4 wins. So if Ireland lose both to France and England, basically, the pressure really will start mounting. So I think Ireland are good enough that we can at least expect that from them. On to England. Yeah, Cooks, what actually, let me start with you. What is your comment, question, take about this English team right now? Obviously, it feels like this is the most amount of hype we've had for an England team in a while.
Yeah, I think the hype is a little bit subdued. I think they're basically losing any prop as you can see left, right, and center at the moment. But for me, England, it's can you take the next step? And that's probably winning the Six Nations. Or at least going down to the wire on final day. I mean, it's probably built perfectly France Ireland in the last week. So can you at least get to that French game with a chance to win? That's for me. It's simple. It's taking the next step. For me, England
Mm.
is they are making the strides of a young side that's going each year. They sort of ticked a few boxes, and the next one now is sort of making that leap is going, can you now, yes, you've shown promise, you've shown glimpses. Can you now string that together into a full campaign and come last week of the season, be in with a chance to win? Where either you in for a Grand Slam and a win, or at least you're not going to beat France and hopefully things fall your way and you get a chance to win. But at least when you go into the game in Paris, you know that you're playing to win the tournament. That's for me, my question is taking the next step. And I think for them, that next step, I think, and also they have to beat Ireland this year to sort of confirm that. That's another big one. Like beat Ireland, put yourself to sort of clear that distance away from Ireland, and sort of go like we are us and France are the two best sides going into it.
Yeah. Yeah. No embarrassment losing to France and Paris. So if you lose the Six Nations because of that, whatever. But yeah, that Ireland game is big. I think my thing is, who are your centers? So this weekend they've selected Dingwall and Freeman. I kind of see the vision similar to what Rassie did with having Hook and Moody at center, and then having other wings at having people that play wing, usually on the wing, you now pretty much have four players that are chasing your up and unders every time. And I get it from to an extent, but yeah, I don't know if that is enough to justify not. I mean, I know Lawrence, I think he's unfit at the moment, but I really hope we can see Lawrence and Ojomo playing together. Like
Oof.
they've been obviously really good for Bath. Like Ojomo had that fantastic game against Argentina. Like I really, I get Dingwall. I mean, I'm not a believer yet, but I can see the vision. I think he's a very solid 12. He won't really let you down. But I really think Lawrence and Ojomo are the combination that can really make England
Fixtures.
a special team that can beat any of the top sides on their day. So please,
Free
Borthwick,
max. Free
please give it to
max.
us.
Free
Imagine,
max.
actually, Cooks, imagine we have Ojomo, Lawrence at center, and George Furbank at fullback.
Oh, Thala. Are you telling me that? Are you telling me that we might live in a world where England's providing fantastic feasts? Oh, what a day that will be! No, but I agree with you. I mean, I'd love for them to free max. Even now, like I said, good job. But like, I still like I understand. I still think you've got one of the best wingers in the world playing 13. I just think you can have a way of a Freeman. I still think him as a wing. I know the experiment is there, and I want to. But I'm like, you just had one of the best. We had one of the best 14s in the world last year, but. I hope he does prove me wrong. I mean, Dingwall does a job, and I think listen, Steve Borthwick too is still big on stability, and that part will never leave. And it's funny, like the amount of grief that Borthwick still catches now, and for being like boring and things like that. Can I just say to my guy, thank you for simple squads. Monday, here's the team, guys. 6-2. He listens to the people, but also like it's just funny, like with the English media, like like and the fans. I mean, I was seeing boring as like quite pragmatic, and he's never hidden that about himself. But he's also allowed, England to play. Obviously, Furbank hasn't been fit all season. So I, I I must say what he's done, and what's no one speaking about it. England is England is very sneakily picking getting an incredible bench and getting great bench depth. And the bench is like the six has worked wonders for both again. And he's quite pragmatic and it does work in his favor. But I mean, I think you are right. Once you, I think for me to sprinkle in that something different in Joma and Furbank, then it takes that. I think the base what they have there is perfect, and he's building a nice little base. But I think you sprinkle in a Joma who's going to potentially be world class, and you got a Furbank there who I think will take their attacking game to another level. So a lot to be happy about Borthwick. I mean, I've got no issues with Steve Borthwick. I mean, see, if a guy's pragmatic and that's what you are, I can live with that. You know what I mean? Like, he hasn't proven anything else, but I think it's free max. Hashtag free max. That's all you want for Sharky. Sharky definitely wants to see Max Ojoma.
100%. This is very much a pro Max Ojomo podcast. For France, Gaultier, these gambles better work, buddy. Like, you better be right about no Peno, no Fiku, no Aldred. Like, he did say, like, it's not forever. He's doing a Rassi. Like, he's rotating the senior players, trying to see if these youngsters have it. So, obviously, big chances for Atasogbe and Deporte to really put their claim to the jersey. I think Oscar Jegu is also a big winner. He'll have a chance now to be a part of like the best 23. Calvin Gorges, the young center from Toulouse. I mean, he's on the bench this weekend. But look, I think out of like Farrell and Gaultier is the one that's actually under the most threat of actually losing his job if this thing doesn't go well. And it's Six Nations or bust for France, honestly. You have England and Ireland at home. You've made all these changes. There's been reports of unrest in the camp, and they were unhappy with the game plan for the Springboks. And you seem to be doubling down on kick chase and kind of making France a more of a contestable kicking team, which no one in the top 14 does contestable kicks, man. Like it's a big risk to do. And you've pretty much said to Peno, look, we know you're brilliant, but we know you will never chase a kick down, so you're not gonna play here. So these things better work, Gaultier. The Jolly Bear thing is also gonna hang around until Mike gets back fit. So even for Jolly Bear, as a side note, you better perform well on Saturday. I mean on Thursday, if Jalibert doesn't perform well in this game and France somehow lose to Ireland, I don't think he's seeing the French jersey again, honestly. Like, he's going to be there playing with Leno Boxies and those sort of players in the top 14 forever.
So my thing with France Thala is why like the Kjellje point is so true. Kjellje for me looks like he's trying his best to get fired. Like some of the calls, like because like it's like like instances like he hasn't had to make these calls. It's almost like what can I do? I'm gonna put so much pressure on myself and just like back myself. You know what I mean? And be like, but I'm making these drastic calls. I love you, like you say, it's not forever. As you told Gregory Aldridge that because Gregory Aldridge does not seem like a happy camper. But like I agree with you.
Mm-mm.
He's sort of put himself. Galtier has probably put himself like in going. It's if anything happens, it's all on him. My big question for France, and I think obviously I agree with all you're saying. Six Nations or bust. My big question is: are we just a no Dupont, no party sort of side? Because Dupont now comes back. He basically played Six Nations what game last year and he played international rugby at all. So he comes back. Like sometimes I feel like for Gaultier, Dupont kind of masked a lot of the issues they would have. So like that's what I'm gonna see. Like,
Mm.
are we just a no Dupont, no party side, or actually there more to us? I mean, I definitely think there is more to them. And it's gonna be interesting now with you know Dupont and Jalibert playing together. The thing with France, like they're still one of the scariest sides out there. Like you look at that side, you look at that back line, even without Pinot. I mean, no, Pinot. Oh, God. It's like I'll never get it, man. I'll never get it. Like Pinot for me, like can sit down and cross his legs while we kick chase. He's always playing him outside. Like Pinot could do cartwheels while we're doing kick chases. He's playing my team. But I mean, like I'll tell you one thing. The Fico thing for me doesn't surprise me, to be honest with you, because I do think like so Deportes are playing so much more better rugby, and at 12, Mofana actually wasn't in the mix at the end of last season. Was actually a massive loss for France. I think those guys have I think those guys have sort of replaced him, and Fico sort of fallen on the wayside. And so that's not too much of a shock. It's the Pinot Aldridge. But for me with France, definitely probably the front runners. And yeah, I just want to see like, yeah, is it a no Dupont, no Dupont, no party situation? And yeah, very keen to see how they go, especially on Thursday.
Yeah. Speaking of Thursday, Cooks, I mean, yeah, two teams have been announced. We're recording this on Tuesday. Lots of changes, lots of players that are not available through injury. Like Ireland have Jeremy Lauman playing. Like, they're pretty much what their third, fourth choice loose head when you're playing him. Um, oh yeah, very quickly going through the Irish side, you have Lauman in, you have Clarkson playing because there's no Furlong. You have Kian Prendergast starting. I think that's a reward for how well he played in the November test. Sam Prendergast wins the Battle of the Tens. I didn't even realize there was a big Harry Byrne hive, but the Harry Byrne hive is really mad that he's not
Huge,
in the 23. You have
huge.
Stockdale. He's taken James Lowe's place at 11. You have Jamie Osborne's back, but he hasn't played for, I think he literally hasn't played since the November tour or November test. So yeah, that's a quite a big risk there. And then yeah, the bench does seem a bit callow. Like, you have Michael Milner as the reserve prop. Nick Timoney gets an opportunity in a 6-2. You have Casey and Crowley, obviously. Jack Conan, obviously, is just, a mainstay there. And then for France, yeah, I kind of think this France team is also sneakily not at its best. Effectively, I mean, we can talk about the reasons why just now. Your best scrummager is out in Atonio. Your lineout operator's out in Flamand. Your main eighth man is out, Aldrit. Your main sort of kicker at 10 is out in Tamak. Your defensive captain is out in Fiku. And then your vibes crazy merchant and Peno is out. So, I mean, those are key players. It's not like you've lost them. Obviously, some of them have been unavoidable. Flamand supporting his wife. They're going through it, trying to have a baby. Antonio, tragically had a heart attack. And yeah, we wish him all the best. I hope he can make a full recovery. And obviously, Tamak also has a kidney thing, bit weird. But yeah, like this is not like the most like assured team for France. Like the people coming in aren't bad. Like Aldegheri's played for France a lot of times. Guillard has been good. Olivon's probably gonna pretty much run the line. Now Jegu was pretty much one of the breakthrough players in the Six Nations last year. We talked about Jalibert, Deportes has been fantastic. Atisogbe has been he was pretty much the player of the New Zealand tour. So yeah, I think there's enough there for Ireland if they really sort of pitch up and sort of start well and sort of get that crowd to get on top of France. There's something there. But if France gets out the blocks well and then it's sort of the momentum builds, I don't think Ireland have enough in the tank to come back. So I think the start in this one's going to be so important.
Yeah, 100%. And also, I think for me, like the pack kind of levels each other out in terms of because of the injuries. For Ireland, it's going to be interesting because we have been trying to, for years, have been asking what is going to happen if a Porter and a Furlong is not available. And now the questions are going to be asked now, like in the guys coming in
Mm.
now, they've got a big chance to show that because, Porter's been playing every single minute basically for the longest time. And it's been Ken Healy basically. And now these guys now have got opportunity to step up and see like the Mills and guys like that and see if they can step up to it. I mean, it's a tough task to go up against France. And, I think you're right. I mean, I can see that, Farrell has tried to sort of split that bench and having a Conan and a Conan on the bench and guys a little bit of experience there, but adding the extra option 6-2, which I find interesting because, Andy Farrell's one of the few guys who's been adamant in sticking that 5-3. And I think he may see that his bench will need a little bit, his pack will need a little bit to bolster with. France, for me, Tella, I understand you 100%. Like, I think obviously, like, there's been massive changes. And there's been, like, the Antonio's a massive loss, Flaman's a big loss. But I think, like an Olivon coming in, experienced campaigner, he's captained France before. So, like, it does negate what Flamand comes in. And I think the Antonio one's going to be a big loss, scrummaging wise. I think, obviously, what the Boks have done have put a little sort of maybe let's see how the Irish pack does come back from that because I'm sure the French will be talking to the Irish scrum. And I think the Irish scrum now, unfortunately, when you get that destroyed in a scrum, yes, the play test after that, that does put something in the back of your mind. Teams do go, we can get off to the side at scrum time. And I think the France will put massive pressure on them on scrum time. And I think for me, for example, the French bench does look a little bit stronger. But when the French pack is just sure. I mean, it's even with all those changes, I mean, it's still a tough bench. But like, someone like Atisobe, for example, like he's still coming into Tala. I mean, even with Atisobe, that's one of the best backlines in world rugby. It is like, and you've got
Yeah.
Dupont comes back, and Jalibert comes back. The thing is now you've got what I wouldn't be surprised. I think obviously Dupont will probably take a lot more responsibility with the kicking. And Jalibert, you got decent boot, but obviously you've got another chaos merchant there that you've sort of put in, and he's playing out of his mind at the moment this season. But now what you got now is you got this incredible running threat, and also you got Ramos who can come in at 10 if needs be and help out in the kicking. But I do think that Jalibert can take this French backline into another level in terms of just attacking wise, and I do think now with the team
Mm.
doesn't want to be this counter-attacking side. The best way to solve that, you put Jalibert in there, who runs probably the best domestic backline in world rugby, and I'll fight anyone who wants to say that. And you putting him in there, now you're sort of putting the guys, and he's got guys that he's played with. It's more fun on his outside, and then he's got the likes of an LBB he plays with, and he's got that guy on his inside. I mean, it just happens to be Antoine Dupont. So I feel like yes, he's normally used to Maxime Luku, but I feel like he'll be okay having Dupont on his inside. And if those two can find a way to gel, it becomes a hell of a 9-10 combination to sort of play because now it's a proper. I mean, Tamak is fantastic and he's an ultimate general, but his running game is nowhere near what Jalibert is, and what Jalibert is when he gets cooking, and the threat Jalibert is
Mm.
as an attacker. So I think the Adesobe, I think is going to be. I think he just comes into what is an incredible side at the moment, and he's going to be fed. And for me, the backline having more Fana back is going to make a massive difference. And yeah, Baptiste Serene is on. I don't know, maybe we might see a world where Serena and Dupont in the field at the same time because Galtier loves playing Dupont
Oh,
in that false nine role where Dupont is but where there basically is a fly off and there's two and a scrum off, and no one knows where to point his what's his actual position. Like, I would love to see that.
Yeah. And Saran plays also 10 a lot for Toulon as well. Ramos obviously plays 10 for Toulouse and for France. Like, I think we generally could end with those three on the field at the same time at the end of the game. Yeah, Cooks, I think you're right. Like this France team has a lot of quality. Obviously, Jalibert is a different animal, and the France backline did struggle, I think, in attack in November with Ntamak, and Ntamak hasn't been in the best form, even yeah, as a big Ntamak defender. Look, I can admit that. But look, I think Jalibert must look at some of his predecessors. Like there's a moment here when you're the mercurial, talented fly half where you have to prove you've got the big boy boots for Test match rugby. Like we've seen it with Richie Mo'unga, we've seen it with like even in South African context with Alton Yankees and with Mani Libok. And it's now that whole thing of we've seen you maybe kind of fall apart a little bit in these big test matches. Can you just control a test match from minute one? Can you make sure the team's playing the right places? Can you sort of pick your moments as to when you put things on yourself in attack? And can you not sort of fall into the traps that the defense has for you, where you sort of go on your own and then you get munched up and Doris and Van der Fleer waiting for you to turn the ball over? Like, I think for Jalibert, limit the mistakes, get France onto the front foot by sort of playing the corners. You have such a really big pack that can really try to put pressure on Ireland. And then the game will come to you. You won't need to sort of push things in order to find it. And then, yeah, like just don't have the second half that you had against South Africa in the World Cup quarterfinal. And yeah, you can really put pressure onto Mark. Like, I think there's a lot this game is I mean I don't think it's in I mean France are still the favorites I think especially with the injury that Ireland has but I think in terms of narrative it's so much in the balance both coaches could be pretty much like Farrell out or Galtier out type of like sounds after this game both fly halves are under big pressure obviously we haven't even talked about Sam Prendergast and obviously the intense pressure he always faces from Crowley. Like there's some players that, are gonna be looking to prove themselves to get into the team on a more permanent basis. I always think that the Irish bench is better than the French bench, honestly, Cooks. Like, if you almost take it man for man, like there's a lot of inexperience at French bench. Like Neti doesn't play often for France. Montagne's a bit new. Araudu is kind of coming onto his own, but he hasn't really set himself up in international level. Nucci is new. Saran hasn't played in years. Gorges is also quite new. So I could buy a Ireland have the better bench take. So yeah, who's gonna stand up? Who's gonna take their opportunities? This is sort of nicely in the middle of a World Cup cycle, or sort of in that second half of the World Cup cycle. So there's definitely opportunities for people to really stake a claim by either winning a big game away from home in Paris or from France. You don't have to beat them by 40 points like you did last year, but if you sort of convincingly beat Ireland and sort of play really well, that sets you up and says, look, it's us and the Springboks at the top of world rugby and maybe England right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that's the one, but I think I still think it's. I mean, listen, I think England obviously is still going to knock. I think Ireland sort of they've. I think Ireland's fighting in that England realm. I think England's fighting them sort of to make the next push. I still think it's Springboks, France, and then like I think Springboks gap, then there's France in a little gap, and then it's basically a fight between New Zealand, England, Ireland, and trying to see who's going to climb into that France realm. Like
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much where it is, and then Scotland is there with Hong Kong, China, fighting there with those guys.
Okay, Cook's prediction, France to win or Ireland?
France by 10.
Yeah, maybe a bit closer. I think France by 6, a bit, yeah, a sneaky close game. Italy, Scotland. I am gonna go for Azzurri, Forza Italia. I think just put all the pressure on Gregor Townsend. Let's go.
Thala, I want to follow you in that path, but there's still a guy who plays 10 for Scotland who's make me hold on a little bit. I think Scotland by two. I mean, 2 or 3, under 5 points. I think it's gonna be close. I think Scotland's gonna steal it.
Yeah. And is there anything what's the best case scenario for Wales this weekend?
I think similar to the performance heading against like Ireland last year, where they just push England to the very end. I'm sure Welsh fans don't want to hear that, but I think so. I think if ever want to catch a side, like we'll do something in the first week, but I still think England will pull away late. I think the England's bench is so strong, and I probably got England by 20.
Yeah. Yeah, geez. I mean, you can bring on Curry and Itoje off the bench is
And Pollock,
ridiculous.
don't forget Pollock.
Yeah. This
Don't
is
forget,
Itoje's and Henry Pollock. Yeah. This is Itoje's first game off the bench in a Six Nations since 2016.
jeez.
And I think he's played 80 minutes in, I think, 90% of the games or something like that.
Yeah.
So, like, genuinely, like, historic when Itoje's not playing, starting at number 4. Yeah. Look, yeah, Wales, I want to believe. I mean, there's so much chaos right now. Just yeah, like Cook said, make it a game into the last quarter. I think everyone would be quite happy with that.
Hmm.
And then overall, Cooks, what's your Six Nations winner and wooden spoon?
France to win.
And maybe a play of the tournament as well.
France to win. France, England, Ireland, Scotland, Italy, Wales. And then player of the tournament, I'm gonna go with if France win, I think it's gonna be Jalibert. Jalibert or Dupont. Dupont's back. Dupont. But I think it's gonna be Jalibert.
Ooh.
I think Jalibert is it's the breakup party for Mateo Jalibert.
Oh, Bordeaux people will be so happy if that's right. Look, yeah, I think I actually agree with that log. Maybe Scotland and Ireland switch. I mean, Italy switch, but yeah, I think that's unlikely. Just to be different, Francois Crows, can people get on the train that you're actually a world-class player? I would love for Francois Crows to be player of the tournament, but Toto's back, so I think we know what's going to happen with if with that award. Yeah, Cook's really excited. Six Nations is always the best time of the year. Cook's finally, we've the World Rugby's released the fixtures for the Rugby World Cup in 2027, so people can start planning and booking and preparing to get to Australia. I think the big news for South Africa is that we start with Italy. So Italy is our first game in Adelaide. Then we play Georgia, I think in Brisbane, and then the final game against Romania is in Perth. These places are all like thousands of kilometers from each other. So you're not just, you know, taking a small 1 hour flight from Joburg to Cape Town. So yeah, just prepare yourselves if you're going to follow the box. I guess the other big story, Cooks, is the first game. Australia, I think, are trying to protect their record. They weren't as brave as France and said, bring the All Blacks, let's have them the first game. They said, hey, let's win. So let's get Hong Kong, China onto the field, please.
Yeah, I mean it's so interesting. It's a great occasion for Hong Kong, China. I mean, if people watching to have the opening game and like it is a great occasion. But I mean, like it's just set up so perfectly. There's no cup game, kicks off the World Cup. Even against Chile, like I don't know, like it's not
Even.
the greatest of starts. But listen, we've had was it Japan versus Russia before, so like I mean we've had like the All Blacks play Tonga. At least they gave us two. They got two hackers. So, but like it just would have been great to have. I just thought common sense, World Cup, all eyes in. And I'm sure Australia are probably thinking we need to start this thing with a W, get a little momentum, but it's been great. And I think also to be fair, Tyler, what a better way to catch the All Blacks and catch them opening game in the World Cup. That's like I mean, if you think about it, that's when you want to catch them. Opening game, call them outside,
Mm.
and then have it. Like I thought it'd been a great way to start the World Cup. The schedule is, man, it's quite crazy. I mean, it's just like I'm just so sad there's no like midweek games. Like there's games on a Monday, but like just no Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, all crammed into the weekend. That means now games are gonna be stupid early. Like, like, come on, man. Like No, Wednesday, Thursday, games are ready for the boys. Sneak out the house sneak out the house a
Yeah,
little.
I
Like,
think
yeah, Karen.
especially now with this. Sorry, I was gonna say, I think especially now with there being six pools, there should just be two pools that are designated to be midweek pools. You can still get your 7 days of rest between games, but you're the Tuesday, Wednesday pools. And not because you're bad or whatever the case is, just for vibes, man. Like, I think it's so like I know it's not great for the players to play after like 4 or 5 days, which is why I'm saying two pools can just do that. Like if the England and the France pools were just, okay, you guys are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday warriors. Yeah. Have a game on Tuesday. You can watch a bit of like Wales, Zimbabwe or France versus Japan or something like that. And then just, yeah, I think that's how you build momentum. Like we know with football, and obviously it's different because you can play every 3 days of football, how awesome it is when you wake up or you wait for just, oh, two games on a random Tuesday night during the World Cup. And with rugby, I mean, it's great in one way because you're watching like 6 games in a row on a Saturday. But it's also like, ugh, I mean, wish this game was on Monday, wish this game was on Thursday. So that is a bit disappointing. And like you
Uh,
said, Cooks,
mm.
if you are not in Australia, New Zealand, you are gonna be waking up for these games.
Because
Like,
that's
yes,
the
4 o'clock games. If I'm
like I said, that's the hard thing
Go
for
on.
us. I mean, maybe it's payback for all the time I've been venting for them for making me for putting games at this random time. But the other
You've
big
been ranting, not me.
there's gonna be games like the sad thing is like for example like I'm not asking them. I'm just saying like obviously to have a normal time. I tell you right, but the flow of the tournament, the momentum, just having like like the Rugby World Cup, like it didn't have lots of them, but there always be like a sprinkling of like, a midweek game, whether it's like sometimes you get these humdingers between like a Romania and like all those Tier sides going at it in the middle of the week, or last year, I mean, there was the last World Cup, there was a France and Namibia game in the middle of the week, and or you might catch an All Blacks game in the middle of the week, and at different timing, maybe a different audience that catches it, and I think which kind of made cool, and the tournament kept flowing because now it goes. Monday, and I'm like, not gonna go back to not gonna wait a whole week to catch all this rugby. Like, and you're like, it's just like you don't lose momentum. And like, and obviously now the problem is now on Saturday, there's like 3, 4 games. One of those games is starting at 1 in the morning, and those guys are gonna be watched by the damn selves at 1 in the morning. Because I can't be like, I'll stay up and watch this game at 1 because the Bucks are playing at 6, so I'll need to sleep sometime. Or like, there's this team playing, like, so it's interesting. The board is like, I just don't know why is around a 16. Oh, oh man, like rugby, eh? This is my last friend before I go. Rugby is the creative sport in creating fantastic formats and then overcomplicating it. Like it's one of the few sports, that has a PhD in complicating formats, which are working, by the way, which work superbly well, and just make it even more complicated. Just like what we're gonna do, we're gonna make it even more complicated. What is it? 24 sides, eh? Like I think it's 24 teams. We have, if I'm not mistaken, or 26 sides. It's 6 pools now, eh? Or 4. So you got like 6 pools of 4.
I'm gonna defend the
No, I'm telling you, got 6 pools of 4. There's 24
Yeah,
sides.
look, I agree with you
Why?
there.
Why does 60 teams to qualify? Why does more than half the teams to qualify for the next round? Like, come on, man. Like, are we? Is this under nines playing? Like, what are you doing here? Like, more than half have got to qualify. Listen, I'm all in. Yes, the tier 2 sides get more action. Like, I get that. I'm just like, Tyler, come on. Come on. And like, you have all these teams, and you still get
Yeah.
midweek games. Come on, man. I want to watch a game on a Wednesday in the World Cup, not outside the World Cup circle, only the World Cup cycle. I don't want people to think that like, oh, Cooks, you're always venting about test matches on a Thursday. I only want to see test matches and games in the week during the World Cup. Outside the World Cup, I want to see games on Saturday and Sunday, and I can accept Friday.
Yeah, look, I'll kind of defend the last 16. Like, I do like the opportunity for like the tier two teams and that there's something for everyone to kind of fight for because it'll be nice. Yeah, maybe we get one surprise, probably not, but it's nice to have those like extra games because I think rugby is almost too big to have just a quarterfinal. Like we have at least 10 teams that are deserving to be like in the final stages. Maybe they should have done, like you said, four pools of six and then a last 12, like a playoff game from fifth place
Yeah,
till 12. But
yeah.
then now you have first to fourth waiting for 2 weekends for a game. But yeah, I mean, Rassie would, I'm sure, have like a Copper Stump session or whatever for that game or whatever. But that I think could work. But yeah, like I also get it because we've seen it with the Champions Cup. Now you make the knockouts by winning one game essentially, and that's also not going to be fun.
Because exactly,
Yeah, I
I just
think
don't want to see a side with one win and then you qualify because you come third in a pool of four. Now they say, yeah, yeah, it makes sense. If you have 24 sides, four groups of six, and I agree with you. But if you come first, you top, you get you get a bye, and then we'll see you in the next round. That's what I think. I just don't think that for some sides to qualify third in a four pool team doesn't seem right for me. Because then I agree that rugby is too big to have, but like I don't know, man. Like I just don't want to like see a side with one win being goes the next round. When like for example, like previous World
I
Cups,
hear
like
you. I hear
if you
you.
like Japan, like in the previous World Cup, we've won 3 games and not qualified. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's fair. That is fair. And yeah, we've seen like very quality sides just not even get through. Obviously, Scotland will be complaining about the group that they were in 2023. Like, yeah, it definitely does happen. But yeah, there'll be, I guess the one positive is that the big fixtures are kind of spread out. So, first weekend, I guess the big match is South Africa, Italy. Then that second weekend, New Zealand, Australia, and Ireland and Scotland are the big games. Then the third weekend, England, Wales, and Argentina and Fiji are the big games. So, yeah, you still have like that sort of like, big sort of blockbuster game to look forward to there. Yeah, and then I guess other thing to point out is the Sydney Stadium Australia is the one that's going to be hosting the well, pretty much every game from the semi-final onwards, and the one quarterfinal or two quarterfinals. So Sydney's kind of won that race. I mean, Australia has about 43 different
Very someone really
world-class
someone
stadiums.
really love
So
they really love Sydney.
it's
Jeepers. Not even like don't even spread the love to anyone else. Brisbane, just all Sydney, both semifinals, third place, and the final. Also, I'm so surprised that why is there no MCG for the state? I'm so surprised they named the MCG as
yeah.
one of the stadiums. You had a Lions test today. Maybe they was happy. I was like, I'll get 90,000
Yeah, I
people.
think
I'll get
they were
90,000 people
talking
in that
about it.
stadium. That would be my opening game, to be honest, at the G. 90,000 people. Get them in there. Get them in there.
Yeah, Perth has which is a bit weird. I mean, I feel like Perth games are always the weirdest things. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, the time is off because they're like 4 hours like behind the rest of Australia, and Perth it just has weird vibes. Obviously, we think it's pretty much Bloemfontein here, so yeah, I think that should have gone to Brisbane at least. One of the semifinals should have been in Brisbane. Like, get them to Suncorp or what was called Suncorp. Like we know Australia especially have a good record there. So yeah, I feel like they're not doing the things to make sure that they get through all the way to this World Cup. Like I would have every game in Suncorp if I was Australia.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, it's like the box like not having like a semi and like Loftus or something. And then be like, because like the World Cup was here. The Springboks are like, guys, one of these, you better know one of you guys is coming to Loftus. And we'll find a way to make sure that we're the ones playing in Loftus and just rock you guys there.
So yeah, I think we'll have to see how it goes. Yeah, Cooks. I mean, yeah, there's been so many other things that have happened. I mean, I'm just going to throw them out there. We don't have to discuss all of them in detail. Like we mentioned earlier, Uini Atonio having a heart attack. Yeah, I think he's out of intensive care, but yeah, it's still I think like on in the balance there. So we hope he recovers fully. Yeah, just a sudden almost like, or he had to retire suddenly from the World Cup, which is, yeah, very sad for him. Very different type of news. Faf de Klerk has being looked at by Perpignan, so we can see Faf de Klerk in Tier 1 rugby again, which will be really cool. There's been a lot of like drama, obviously, with the New Zealand rugby search for their head coach. Looks like they're going to go for a New Zealander. They want someone with test experience. Joe Schmidt said, don't pick me. I am still maybe the coach of Australia until 2027. We'll see about that. I mean, yeah, at this stage, I don't think he's coming out. So, Jamie Joseph, it looks like the road is open for you. We had Fiji win the sevens in Singapore as well. And I guess the crazy thing, at least more from a South African context, is this, I guess, Rassie and the trolling and the Tony Brown thing. Like this Tony Brown saga, I've never seen a Kiwi so appreciate in South Africa in years. Like, I feel like there's gonna be like a there's gonna be protests on the streets if Tony Brown is if the All Blacks manage to sneak Tony Brown away from South Africa.
It's gonna be massive protests if he does. Oh man, it's gonna be hilarious. Because I mean, he has come out, he turned down Razor. Now there's the Springboks, and now he's coaching best mate, might get the All Blacks gig. But I mean, funny enough, you see all these reports, I think that Ian Foster and Steve Hansen were given a look in as well. I was like, this All Blacks thing is gonna be so funny. But also, leave that, Thala. My favorite story is like, imagine Richie Mwanga getting a call from Razor to come back from Japan, and you after you said how much you love Japan, you get there and it's like the guy who called me is fired now. So, and then you get there and James Jones was like, I'm on a Libo Samoa guy anyway. So sorry. Oh man, All Blacks. Nobody's gonna find a coach and leave Tony Brown alone.
Yeah, look, I mean, speaking of the All Blacks, the tickets are out for the greatest rivalry tour. Yeah, I haven't really seen too much bad social media reaction. I think actually the prices were like at least a bit more calmed down. The game in Soccer City is quite, yeah, I think that'll be a very good experience. But yeah, Ellis Park and Cape Town are hosting games. I think the one good thing is that they made the tickets for the provincial games a lot more accessible. But yes, Gqeberha, Bloemfontein will always be overlooked. We can't get the Lions to play there. We can't get the Stormers to do another game in Klebs, just so that fans can also see the All Blacks.
Yeah, shame. I think that's my thing. I would love to see like Stormers to play a few games in PE, or we go down to Bloom. Especially like if you look at like Ellis Park, for example, they've got England All Blacks twice. Cape Town's also got the All Blacks. So yeah, it would have been nice to spread the love a little bit.
Yeah, Joburg literally has three times you can see the All Blacks. You can go to Ellis Park twice or to Soweto, and literally Loftus is also 60 kilometers away. So yeah, you Gautengers get everything, man.
No, we do.
We just we just want one thing in the Eastern Cape, just one, guys, please. But I think that is everything, Cooks. I mean, that's a bumper Raiders podcast. We've discussed everything from the URC, the SA derbies, the Six Nations, the World Cup fixtures, and so much more. This is going to be a very hot time in rugby right now. I mean, Super Rugby is about to start. Varsity Cup will probably have like a viral moment every week as well. So you know where to come for all your rugby news. You come to Rugby Bits. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Please share this podcast with your friends and everyone that loves rugby. And please like and share and subscribe to this podcast on your favorite podcast platform as well. And we'll definitely see you after this weekend's games. Bye bye, everyone.
Cheers, guys.